Welcome back to Education Matters. We've got this wonderful panel here at the Eggs and Issues Breakfast 2019. We just talked a little bit about about school safety, but I want to shift gears and talk about teaching because it's such a critical part. And everyone, when we talked about the importance of their public school, really you talked about the importance of your teacher, right? So, I want to ask, I'll start with you, Tabari. I mean, all three of you chose education as a profession, but sadly more and more young people do not want to become teaching, and frankly sometimes they're being discouraged from teaching by their parents. We know we've got some deans of schools of education here that tell us that they talk to parents and they say, look, we would love for them to be a teacher, but why would we want to spend that much money on college for a dead-end job like teaching? I mean, what do we need to do differently for teachers?
Well, I'll tell you, look, peering into the future, I'm terrified of 2021. Taking away the retirement, potential retirement, and healthcare, that's one big draw, bringing in kids into the profession. But we do need to return to remove the stigma of teaching. A lot of kids will tell you that that's not a lot of money in teaching, but they don't realize that that's for 10 months. You make that $35,900 for 10 months. You see what I'm saying? You have for 2 other months, and don't forget the paid holidays and this and that. So it's a great profession, but it's not just about money when it comes to the young, to the young folk. It's about seeing that child, and each child has experienced it, as I said before, the aha moment when they do succeed, when they overcome a challenge. And then that glory that you have when they jump into your arms and they hug you and they did it. That's priceless. You can't put a price on that. You're moving a child and you're affecting the next generation. So that to me is more than money.
Beth, what do you think?
You know, as a school counselor, one of the things that concerns me is that I really think teaching is a craft, it's an art. And so much of the policies and procedures that are happening are impacting the teacher's individuality and how they choose to lead caliber instruction in their classroom. And the greatest concern for me as a school counselor is that there are so many layers of pressure for our classroom teachers that not only does it impact the caliber of instruction that's happening, but I think engagement, having the educators that are in our building be able to be present with our students, being able to engage with our students, rather than when they are in front of that classroom just having that constant roller coaster of all these things I need to get done and the paperwork that I need to file and the PD hours I need to get. And so I think being able to eliminate or decrease some of that pressure so that not only we can appreciate the craft of teaching, but also make sure that as educators, that our educators can be present and engaged and build the quality relationships with the kids in the classroom, which is far, far more important than the academic impact that they have.
Freebird, North Carolina Teacher of the Year. I know you try to claim not to be, but you are.
It is
Part of
true.
that role is you go around and travel all across the state and talk to teachers. What are the themes? What are they telling you?
Well, I think one of the most important things that we're really looking at is what the role of the teacher actually means in the 21st century. And I think, speaking to a lot of what Beth and I were talking about earlier, is that this role in those base levels of Maslow's, we have the opportunity, and again, the Chinese word for crisis has the radical for both danger and opportunity. So yes, we understand that there are issues, but we have the opportunity to allow our teachers to get PD and ACEs and trauma-informed schools and implicit bias. These are things that we need to help prepare our teachers with so that we can now allow both of our students and our teachers to transcend the walls of our classroom, to build better relationships with the community. We have a great opportunity to change the narrative of what the teacher represents, to kind of go back to the importance of what the teacher was for our students, but also what they were in our community. And I see a great trend right now. I see a lot of very, very promising things that are going on. Again, a lot of people in this crowd, but I see teachers really wanting and craving that next level of professional development to really serve the needs of their kids and to build better relationships out with their communities.
All right, well, you mentioned implicit bias, so I want to shift. I want to talk a little bit about race. The data is clear. This is not just a supposition. Schools are becoming more segregated. There's wide disparities along racial lines in how students are disciplined, black and brown students. They're placed in fewer advanced courses. Black and brown students are more likely to be identified as having a learning or behavioral disability. In the last few years, well, heck, in the last 3 days, have proven anything, we are far from post-racial in America. How are we going to fix this? I'm going to start with you, Tabari, because you seem like you had an answer.
That's the third time. That's the third time you started with me.
You got my eye, so
That's
there you
right.
go.
The racial inequity that exists today is largely unseen. It's more of a construct. It's intangible. But in order to address it, equity and equality is two different things. And equity deals with more of the preconceived notions, the stereotypes, and this and that. To fix it, you have to remove that. I call them the guards. You have to remove that subjectivity to allow people the opportunity to be able to provide for themselves, to go to the school that they want, and this and that, to have the best teachers. It's the opportunity that's the key that minorities face to be able to get ahead. Equity is equality is everybody gets the same thing. Everybody gets a pair of Reeboks. But I don't wear Reeboks. I wear Jordans. I wear Nikes. And other people wear Timberlands and dress shoes, high heel shoes, and this and that. Equity is removing the barriers, okay, so that we can earn a good wage to buy the Nikes or to buy what we need to do or to have that opportunity to advance.
Yeah, and this is a tough issue to talk about, because when you start talking about race, then you go, well, are you suggesting that people are racist or teachers or systems? But I think it's trying to shift the conversation. And Alexa, I'm going to ask you, as a student of color, we're looking, you said minorities, black and brown students are not the minority in public schools anymore.
But that's true. That's true. You're right.
Alexa, do you, as a young Latina, this has obviously been an issue nationally. Sort of, where do you sit on those issues?
When it comes to race and ethnicity, what I've always noticed is that in your academic core classes, you do see diversity, and you're like, okay, there's people who look like me, people that sound like me. But then as you go into your honors classes or advanced placement classes, you don't see that representation anymore. And it's something that as a Latina student can be discouraging, because you're like, why aren't there other people like that? But something that at least my school has done is that we have an honor society called National Achievers Society. It's for students of color, and it's just helped us, network together. We meet once a month. We do study groups together, and I think it's things like that where you have exemplar students who are students of color, who are succeeding in their schools, who are involved in their schools, and I think that starts with the teachers as well. We have two amazing advisors. They're both African American, and they just inspire us and say, you can do it. You're no different.
That's wonderful. All right. Well, we're going to take our last commercial break, and then when we come back, a final segment with this great panel. So let's give them a round of applause.